We're going to toss it down to the analyst to break that game down further.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. And what a game one. What a way to start a series back and forth, taking it all the way to the end and then winning off of a minion push and a great fight from both teams. And we saw one fight from both teams. Irene, jump right in.
I definitely want to talk about that last push because that was something that was orchestrated many minutes in advance because Afromu took his banner and walked all the way down to the bottom lane when they were sieging middle, and he set that up very early on because Hanser, he knew that he was going to have to answer them at the top side of the map. So Afromu was on top of that with the macro play.
Yeah, absolutely. But let's now go all the way back to the beginning. Let's get to this final push through starting in picks and bans. We saw Afro-focused bans coming out of TSM. We saw Bjergsen-focused bans coming out of CLG, and that Echo first pick. We had talked about what is Echo going to mean in this series, and CLG coming out and showing us in game one, they're willing to flex it between mid and top lane.
I think it was brilliant, honestly. I think that they take two of like the big kind of playmaking top laners. They have the ability to flex it around. We knew it was going to be big for Darshan, and now we've seen it's going to be big for Huhi as well. I love that pick. We talked about how high priority it should be in this series, and I was surprised that TSM did not try to ban it out or take it away themselves, and that's something they're probably going to have to try to do throughout the rest of the series now that they've shown that flexibility.
And not only do they show the flexibility, but Scarra, we saw a different build. Since in the top lane, we normally see the tanky Echo, Huhi opting for that AP Echo. It's just another layer of mind games that they're throwing to TSM of like, you're not only going to have to know how to play around an AP Echo, but also a tank Echo if we throw it to the top lane.
I think they were worried they didn't have enough AP damage to deal with the comp, because if you saw their comp, it had a lot of damage sources, but not that much AP damage. So they were probably thinking, we probably need the AP. It'll be a little bit higher risk, but the reward will be huge if he can either land the ulti or get to the back line. I think it was pretty good by itself, and I think that Echo was a really, really big problem for them. Not only, I originally said that it was Darshan's, and one of Darshan's best champions, fits him super well, but Huhi also plays a lot of Echo mid, and they've shown the flex capability of the champion. I think they should consider banning it, because it seems like their support bans have no real actions.
It's something they might be discussing now as we see TSM on your screens. Echo is going to be a pick they're going to have to worry about. Of course, the teams will be swapping sides, and we'll have an opportunity to discuss what we think they should do in game two. So, Irina, I want to come back to you. Given what we saw in picks and bans, we saw the Morgana come out for Afromu. Talk me through the idealistic play of these two compositions and how we should have seen them play out through the game.
Well, there's a lot of actually very interesting things that CLG can do with this composition. You can pick people off, but also your team fight is incredibly strong. Morgana ulti, you can also put down the Smithy ulti with the Kindred, and Smithy ulti with the Kindred and then Huhi's ulti with the Echo, you actually allow enough time for the Echo Chrono Shift, or Chrono Break to actually catch up, and you can ulti people inside of there. But the ideal way to play it is you just put the black shield on Caitlyn. Caitlyn runs into the front line, 6A gets to do whatever he wants, and he gets to blow them up because their magic damage is Bjergsen, and if Bjergsen isn't going to be able to actually deal enough damage to break it, then you don't have Hanser's barrel to actually knock Caitlyn into the fight, and Caitlyn just has range superiority over everybody on the TSM side.
So at the end of the day, a very solid team fighting composition for CLG. Azale, I'm going to have you walk us through our replay 24 minutes into the game. A 4-0 for CLG. This is where they kind of broke open the game. Yeah. We saw a TP, and this team really displaying their team fighting prowess against TSM.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about high risk, high reward of the AP Echo. This is it coming up big. Yellowstar gets caught out a little bit too far there, and the big TP flank did come down from Darshan. This is where Huhi is now in the back lane. He's being so disruptive, and his ultimate, when he goes back over the wall, actually catches Svenskeren, allowing him to finish him off with the phase dive right afterwards. They're able to chase down Bjergsen for another kill, I do believe, off that flash stun there from Darshan. But really, it was the TP flanks coming in. They did such a good job moving around the map, and Huhi just put this added layer of pressure. And I think that some of the players didn't look too comfortable playing around Echo's shadow, because when you think about tank Echo, it's not something you actually have to care about. It's used more as just a repositioning tool or kind of like a little bit of a heal. And people don't really care so much about the damage from that. But a full AP Echo, if you're a squishy and you get caught by that ultimate, it's all over.
Oh yeah, because all the AP ratios have been buffed to try and push him away from being a tank. But that showed once again that the double TP is not a fluke. It's something that's very practiced by CLG. They end up having Darshan come through first, and then less than a half second later, Huhi comes through. So Darshan is actually channeling his TP, and then he tells Huhi to do his. And this is something that Darshan has gotten so good at. His flanks have been incredible. I've actually heard stories about how they will actually just use drills over and over and over again. They'll find a scrim partner and just be like, we're doing this over and over again. Let's set up at Baron. Let's go. Flank when it's right, and if they get it wrong, they just go set it up again. Let's do it again, and they keep doing it until he gets the timing down perfectly. And he's had that happen for many years now, because he started practicing that back in like 2014.
Scarra, final thoughts on game 1?
I think rather than any of those two things, the bigger picture is the fact that TSM's mid game was really bad this game. They didn't have the correct answer. Maybe it was a little bit through comp because they lacked initiation against Morgana, but they didn't have a good answer against the split push. And with the lead they got early, Scarra was 2 levels. They 4-buffed them on the second rotation. Like, TSM should have been able to set up a vision to either get picks or to at least out-rotate CLG. And CLG just split pushed them and nulled out the mid game so that they were able to eventually just win with Morgana.
Well, if this first game is any indication of the series we're going to have, it's going to be a good one. CLG have taken a lead in this best of 5, so stay tuned to see if they can extend their lead or if TSM can tie up the series. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Dennis, just always make sure I'm ahead. Thank you, Dennis. Really.
Dennis, you're such a team player.
Dennis, really, thank you.
Do you enjoy playing with me, Bjerg?
Dennis? I love playing with you, Dennis.
Phase dive actually got interrupted, knocked into the air. The shield's coming up, but he can't hit it in time. First blood comes through for double. It great face call on a Yellow Star.
I got this guy. Go. I can flash on him. Watch him.
They're looking for Bjergsen. The flash stun comes in from Darshan. The follow-up's there. That's 4 in a row. What a team fight, CLG. Darshan is the last one alive, but he has nowhere to go. Stunned up once again. Can't find the target. And an ace for TSM firing back.
Bjergsen's gonna kill everyone.
Is gonna drop as well. TSM looking for the final couple of kills.
But can they even
what a dodge.
Bjergsen's the DPS, and they have a support back. The minions
He's got to run. He's got to run.
Yes.
And it's not going to be enough. Dominion live